It is the 20th day of August 2024. Good evening and a very warm welcome to your favorite station, TV47, the home of untold stories. I am George Maringa. Our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai. We welcome you to the Daily Report, and even later as you have the People's Court, even as for the third time the country is treated to the impeachment motion of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza. Currently, the submissions are being made by both parties, starting with counsel for the County Assembly, who has 60 minutes to be able to deliver the closing remarks, and those 60 minutes started at 8:43 p.m. And afterwards, the counsel for the Governor of Meru will be having another 60 minutes to be able to make the closing remarks on behalf of the Governor. Then the Senate will proceed to vote close by close for that impeachment motion. You're watching the Daily Report as we continue to cover these unfolding events in the best way that we only can. We invite you to contribute to the program at TV47 News is the handle on X, formerly Twitter. You can find me on @GeorgeMaringa_. Our SMS line is on your screen, as well as the WhatsApp number, which will be on your screens shortly. Start engaging us at TV47 News at @GeorgeMaringa_. Use the hashtag Daily Report, hashtag People's Court, as we continue to monitor events coming in from the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. But then, here are the top stories making headlines tonight. Tonight, Gigiri Police Station declared a crime scene following the escape of 13 suspects, including Collins Jumaisi, the main suspect in the Kware murders.
We have investigation that is very active and is being done to unravel what happened.
The death toll from the horrific accident in the Migaa area near Salga has risen after more bodies were recovered from the mangled wreckage of the bus.
But tulisikia complaints kwamba gari imetoka Mombasa kama haijafanyiwa service.
The Supreme Court issues a stay order temporarily reversing the Court of Appeal's decision that nullified the Finance Act 2023. We are broadcasting on our terrestrial platforms. We welcome you. Also, our viewers joining us online on our website as well as YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to interacting with you. A little bit later on, we shall be joined by Victor Agola, a policy expert, as well as Steve Ogutu, a governance expert, to look at the governance in the counties at the pretext of the impeachment motion that is currently on the floor of the Senate. Thank you so much for joining us. I am George Maringa. Rhoda Nyamai is on sign language interpretation tonight. Let's get the show on the road, shall we? And preliminary investigations point to an inside job at the Gigiri Police Station, where 13 suspects escaped custody on Tuesday morning. 8 officers on duty have been arrested over the escape as a manhunt is launched seeking to rearrest the 13 escapees. Sheila Chelangat opens our broadcast tonight with that report.
The puzzle of how 13 suspects, 12 Eritrean nationals and Kware murder suspect Collins Jumaisi escaped from custody at 3 a.m. Tuesday continues to puzzle many. Preliminary investigations pointing at an inside job. The inside job that led to Gigiri Police Station cordoned off as a crime scene, with investigators trying to piece the moments of escape at the wee hours of Tuesday morning. The escapees are said to have broken free by cutting through this wire mesh of the basking area, despite the presence of this CCTV camera here. The question that arises is just how possible was it for the 13 to successfully scale up this high wall unseen? Then through this hole at the perimeter wall of the station, their prison break was successful.
We have investigation that is very active and is being done to unravel what happened, how it happened, and who is culpable to face that rule of law.
4 people remained in the cell from which this 13 escaped from, while 8 police officers on duty, including the OCS and sub-county commander, have been interdicted and arrested.
Ni police officers wale walikuwa wana jukumu la kuhakikisha usalama wa hii police station ya Gikiri iko salama na wafungwa ambao walikuwa ndani ya hizo cells. Once the investigation is over, they will be arraigned in court of law.
Members of the public have been urged to be on the lookout and help with any information that may lead to the rearrest of the 13 escapees. Sheila Chelangat for TV 47.
Thank you, Sheila. One more person has passed away while receiving treatment at Nakuru PGH Hospital in the county, causing the death toll of those who have died due to the accident that occurred early this morning in the Migaa area to hit 14. As Linda Alela reports in this story produced by Quinto Wafula, the accident happened even after the passengers in the coast bus complained about the unworthiness of the coach.
This was the scene along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway at Migaa, where a bus belonging to Coast Bus collided with a private car and overturned shortly after the brakes failed. According to survivors, the crew of the bus had stopped in Kericho for 4 hours to repair its brakes, but it was to later lose control after the same brakes failed again, leading to this unfortunate incident.
Kaanza kupita bumps haraka. Watu wakaanza kucomplain, kuna mmoja katuambia eti msicomplain, driver anasema brakes zimekatika. Ndio kufika hapa hivi gari yetu kagonga hii gari ndogo ilikuwa hapa hivi ikaturn. Then mimi nikajipata tu nimeturn hivi alafu nikajipata nyuma ya gari hivyo.
Kidogo nasikia watu wanalia. Sasa mimi nikagonga dirisha hapo, side ya dirisha hapo hivyo. Tukatoka na watu wengine kadhaa, tukatoa watu wako wengine.
Confirming the incident, Rift Valley Regional Police Commander Jasper Ombati said the accident occurred at 4 a.m., resulting in the immediate death of 13 people, while 55 others were left injured.
Of those who have lost their lives, from the bus, we have a total of 11. And from the small car, we have a total of 2.
Meanwhile, a call has been made to all road users to be cautious and to ensure that vehicles meet the required safety standards before using them.
This is just no ordinary accident. It should be called for what it is, murder. Why would you put a car on the road that you know is not roadworthy?
Aspects of speeding should be avoided at all costs. And also, most importantly, ensure that their vehicles are in good conditions before they embark on their journeys.
Indeed, we want to take you now to the Senate of the Republic, where the impeachment trial of Governor Kawira Mwangaza is on its final day, even as right now Council for the County Assembly is making their final remarks, and that will last 60 minutes. As I told you, the 60 minutes started at 8:43 p.m.
Of the oversight function. That is all what we are asking for. That is all what we are asking for. If we were in the UK setup, this house qualifies to be the House of Lords. It's a House of Lords because it's capable of determining where the truth is and where the lie is. Evidence has been led from the County Assembly. Grounds were approved by the mover of the impeachment, that it is true the governor has transgressed and violated the Constitution. When she was put to task to explain the circumstances that led to the revocation of that CEO, she simply said it wasn't me. And how can it be that the governor can be allowed to get away with a forgery? Isn't it a criminal case in the first instance? And who has a burden of proof? The person who claims that the signature was forged appeared before the Senate. Her evidence was put through test by cross-examination, and clarification and verification was sought by the members of the Senate. Who then is lying? Is it Linda Kiome, or is it the governor? Can the governor be trusted? Put to task and granted an opportunity to bring even the original advisory, she simply said it was seated somewhere in Meru. Unfortunately, she mistook where the place of the trial. The place of the trial is not in Meru, it's before this Senate. Is that a conduct that is consistent with innocence? If she was innocent, if there was not forgery, why was it so difficult for her just to bring
That is Ndegwanjiru, advocate and lead counsel for the County Assembly, making his closing remarks. He has 60 minutes to do so. The 60 minutes, which started at 8:43 p.m., will end at 9:43 p.m. And Ndegwanjiru is leading his team of 8 advocates, including him, Mwangi Ndegwa, Mwirigi Eric, Mwereru Boniface, Anthony Mwenda, Ngure Benson, Baptiste Murioki, and Lindan Kirote. The County Assembly was also represented in person by the mover of the motion and another member, the mover being Zipporah Kenya and Aurelio Murangiri, who appeared in this trial. Later on, we shall be having the counsel for the governor, who will be represented by Elisha Ongoya, Elias Mutuma, Brida Kimathi, Robert Mutembei, Edgar Busenga, and Collins Mwenda. Later on, the Senate shall vote close by close on the impeachment motion, the trial of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza, the governor of County number 12. We will continue to follow those proceedings for you. And even as the impeachment trial of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza entered its final day, all eyes were on the county chief as she presented her defense. And as Mike Kagwongo reports, Mwangaza's witness, Evans Mawira Karia, explained how Meru County Assembly embezzled more than 35 million Kenya shillings in previous motions to impeach the governor in sittings connected to her removal. Take a look.
Tonight marks the conclusion of a 2-day impeachment hearing for Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza after the embattled county chief mounted her defense against a litany of accusations. 6 advocates made up the legal team the governor established to defend her political career. Appearing before the Senate, former Majority Leader Evans Mawira Karia alleged how during Governor Kawira Mwangaza's second impeachment motion, 59 members who supported the impeachment process were each given 20,000 shillings for Christmas by the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru.
It's true that she has reached out, and why are other members not agreeing or accepting this olive branch being extended to them by the governor? The reason I've saying is the assembly will punish, or the assembly leadership will punish each and every member who attempts to even work with the governor.
Karia, who had tabled the first notice of motion in October 2023, accused Governor Mwangaza of withdrawing county funds under the guise of paying for various supplies by the governor's relatives, who were not eligible to bid for contracts. Barely a year later, the Mitungu MCA has changed his mind under what he called previous political witch hunt.
And we made a decision that we have to communicate to other UDA members that it is the position of the party at that moment that we have to withdraw all the support for the governor within and without the assembly.
Karia said Meru County Assembly spent a total of 35.5 million shillings on committee seating allowances for the 68 MCAs. According to Karia, each MCA that was in support of the motion last year walked away with at least 80,000 shillings and are likely to walk away with the same amount of money this year. Karia, however, refuted allegations that they were paid by embattled Meru Governor Kawere Mwangaza to vote against her third impeachment motion.
You've been deemed as a traitor, you'll be punished, you'll be removed from committees, you'll be denied assembly privileges, and therefore this makes it very hard for other members to try and forge a working relationship with the governor.
In her defense, Governor Mwangaza said she disobeyed the county assembly's summons because there was a judicial matter and she was terrified of being found in contempt of court.
I did not appear at the county assembly of Meru because there was a court issue with the impeachment, and I was afraid that I would go there and then it will be termed as contempt of court.
The Senate will thereafter carefully consider the evidence presented by both parties before rendering its verdict on the governor's impeachment. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike Kagwango, for that, and we will continue to follow the proceedings of the Senate for you tonight. The Supreme Court has issued conservatory orders temporarily suspending portions of the Court of Appeal's decision declaring the Finance Act 2023 unconstitutional. The orders issued by the Supreme Court are meant to allow the government to use the Finance Act 2023 for tax collection as the case pens hearing on the 10th of September this month. This is after the Court of Appeal's ruling in July 2024 that declared the entire Finance Act 2023 unconstitutional, as Ruga Eval now explains.
The Supreme Court has put on hold on the Court of Appeal's decision that declared the Finance Act 2023 unconstitutional. In its ruling, the Supreme Court criticized the lower court's decision, noting that it created uncertainty around revenue measures and potential challenges for government operations if the act were to be deemed unconstitutional. The Supreme Court stressing that it is in the public's interest to keep the Finance Act in effect while the appeal is ongoing. This is because if the act's effects were reversed later and the appeal succeeded, it could be difficult or impossible to restore the act's provisions. The decision comes in response to appeals filed by the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Planning, along with 4 other government officials against the Court of Appeal's decision. The decision by the High Court was initially overturned by the Court of Appeal following a petition challenging the constitutionality of the mentioned act, and among the petitioners was Busia Senator Okia Omtata. However, in granting the conservatory orders, the Supreme Court emphasized the importance of maintaining administrative stability and avoiding disruptions in public administration. The orders effectively stay the Court of Appeal's declarations that nullify the Finance Act, allowing the government to continue its operations while the legal battle plays out. The ruling states, and I quote, "A conservatory order is hereby issued suspending and staying the declarations in Orders 3, 4, 6, 7 issued in the Court of Appeal judgment dated 31st of July, the year 2024 in civil appeals, pending the hearing and determination of the consolidated appeal before this court." End of quote. The Finance Bill roller coaster has been shuddering the collection of several taxes, namely Income Tax Act, Value Added Tax Act, Excise Duty Act, Retirement Benefits Act, and Export Processing Zones Act. But now the Supreme Court's ruling is a significant relief for President William Ruto's administration, especially after the Finance Bill 2024 was withdrawn in response to the intense Gen Z protest. Ruga Eval, TV47.
Prominent businessman Jimmy Wanjigi has been released on a personal bond of 10 million Kenya shillings and instructed to deposit his passport in court pending the delivery of a ruling on September 12th this year. While addressing the media, Wanjigi said that his family has been through a lot and asked to be treated fairly. Anastasia Mukabi reports.
Businessman Jimmy Wanjigi, who was detained at the Kamukunji police station yesterday, shortly after appearing before the regional investigation officer at the Nairobi area police station, got a bit of a sigh of relief today.
I wouldn't know what to say about that. Probably we can get that from the...
This is after he was arraigned in court and freed on a personal bond of Kenya shillings 10 million.
He's with you?
Yes. Wanjigi's legal team, led by Paul Moite, claimed that in response to the allegations of illegal firearm possession, the police acted maliciously and in contempt of court by cancelling Wanjigi's firearm license, which has been reinstated by the High Court.
They will assume that they come before you with any charge, and you uphold that charge, and you call upon someone to plead on it or not to plead on it. You will say to them, no. Given this background, I'm throwing out these charges.
That requires reasonableness, fairness, transparency by anyone taking any action.
And despite Wanjigi's family being through a rough time, the businessman applauded them for being there for him.
See my family here, we have been through a lot of trauma. I want to thank them for standing with me during the last 2 or 3 weeks of what you call crooked Ruto's anarchy.
Wanjigi, going further, asked to be fought on issue-based politics in the political sphere.
If you fear me, be a man, come and deal with me properly, kiwanjani ya siasa. We have now moved to the realm of the truth and issue-oriented politics, based primarily today on the economy of Kenya. Debate me on the economy.
On September 12th of this year, Wanjigi will find out whether or not the charges against him will be dropped. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47.
Thank you, Anastasia. The Senate today approved the nomination of Douglas Kanja Kirocho as the Inspector General of the National Police Service. The approval follows a report presented by the Joint Committee of Parliament that vetted him last week. The lawmakers emphasized on the need for Kanja to serve Kenyans with professionalism and address pressing challenges within the police service.
On the report on the approval hearing of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho, nominee for appointment to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service, pursuant to Standing Order 2236 of the Senate Standing Orders.
Appointment of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho as Inspector General of the National Police Service.
And pursuant to Article 245, 2A of the Constitution, Section 12 of the National Police Service Act, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, and Standing Order 77 of the Senate approved the nomination of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho for appointment to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service.
To the Mpox Watch, with over 2,863 cases and 517 deaths related to the Mpox virus reported in 13 African countries, and fears being rife over the surge of the new highly transmissible strain dubbed Clade 1B, some nations, including Kenya, are anxiously waiting for a vaccine. Currently, there are only 2 Mpox vaccines that have been approved by only 2 countries of Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Our health and science reporter Elizabeth Atieno now explores what is the process of acquiring these vaccines.
On the 7th of August, the World Health Organization issued an invitation for manufacturers of Mpox vaccines to submit an expression of interest for emergency use listing, EUL, a move prompted by the worrying trends in the spread of Mpox virus.
I have triggered the process for emergency use listing of both vaccines, which will accelerate vaccine access, particularly for lower-income countries. which have not yet issued their own national regulatory approval.
So what happens during the emergency use listing process? First, the vaccine manufacturers and applicants are required to submit applications for evaluation. Thereafter, the team from World Health Organization will review and assess the applications within a month to see whether the vaccines are safe, effective, of assured quality, and suitable for the target populations. Finally, the technical advisory group shall then be convened to make the necessary recommendations, which are time-limited and based on a risk-benefit approach.
Should that recommendation of the vaccine be positive, WHO is ready to share the assessment reports with member states to facilitate their authorization and acceptance in two countries so that then they can be available for use.
Currently, there are 2 Mpox vaccines recommended by World Health Organization. They include MVA-BN, produced by Danish drug maker Bavarian Nordic, and Japan's LC-16.
2 countries in the African region have already approved Mpox vaccines for emergency use. That is, Nigeria has approved the use of one vaccine, MVA-BN, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo has approved the emergency use of LC-16 vaccine and MVA-BN.
On Monday this week, Emergent Biosolutions said it will donate 50,000 doses of its smallpox vaccines, dubbed ACAM-2000, to the Democratic Republic of Congo and other impacted countries of Kenya, Burundi, Rwanda, and Uganda to address the current Mpox outbreak. Although this vaccine that is approved for smallpox has been used as an Mpox shot, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is yet to approve its application for use against the virus.
But just to highlight that once they are in country, there's a lot of work that is ongoing looking at the protocols, how these vaccines can be used in communities. There are many people on the ground that have experience with this and in country to do this, as well to make sure that we have the targeted use of these vaccines.
The Nordic vaccine has proven to be safer, and Kenya is expecting 2 million doses of this particular vaccine, with high-risk areas being of topmost priority.
Africa as a continent, we require 10 million doses of vaccines. We are assured by the Nordic manufacturer of the vaccine that by the end of the year we can be able to have about 2 million doses.
Bavarian Nordic is working with Africa CDC to ensure that Africans can have access to vaccine. And the 10 million doses we are talking is not a dream. We have a clear plan by end of 2025 to have these 10 million doses in Africa.
Important to note that Kenya requires the vaccine manufacturers to register with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, but in this case, the approval will be expedited as it is for emergency use, as was the case during the COVID pandemic. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Tonight, Azimio affiliate parties Wiper, DAP Kenya, Jubilee and PNU called it quits in the wake of yesterday's abortive coalition council meeting to be chaired by former President Uhuru Kenyatta, only to be boycotted by ODM party leader Raila Odinga. Highly placed sources privy to a virtual meeting chaired by former President Uhuru Kenyatta and attended by coalition principals Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa said ODM cannot hold them ransom anymore after yesterday's boycott. Apollo Kamau reports.
A virtual meeting chaired by former President Uhuru Kenyatta and attended by coalition principals Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and DAP Party Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa is said to have expressed its displeasure after ODM party leader Raila Odinga boycotted Monday's afternoon meeting. According to sources, the three were not happy, declaring they will not be held at ransom anymore by ODM. Wamalwa, who is now the spokesman and secretary general of the three top leaders, says each party is free to make its own decision, no matter the consequences, after Odinga's boycott.
What that means is that then the parties will be left to make their own decisions, as ODM has, and may the chips fall where they may.
A source allied to the three principals said they are done, adding it's a done deal, while referring to the exit from Azimio, which is likely to be left with ODM.
Azimio, ODM is a principal partner in Azimio coalition. We cannot be lectured by some of our junior partners in the coalition that we leave coalition. In fact, some of the partners in the coalition, we are even questioning their status in the coalition. Jubilee Party, for example.
ODM is said to be the custodian of the coalition's crucial documents, with the Uhuru Kalonzo allied affiliate parties saying Odinga is using Azimio as a fallback plan in case the African Union chairmanship bid flops.
Our party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, is the Azimio leader and the flag bearer of the Azimio coalition. And that even Kalonzo and the others recognize. And therefore, any meeting will have to be participated in by ODM for it to make any sense.
With concerns raised on Kalonzo's actual position on the exit due to his soft spot for Odinga and his continued pursuit of a diplomatic engagement on Azimio succession, the hardliners fed up with ODM maintain the exit is a done deal, adding they are ready for a new arrangement. Apul Kamau, TV47.
You're watching the Daily Report right here on TV47. We want to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we still have more news, including following the events on the floor of the Senate regarding the impeachment trial of Meru Governor Mwangaza. Do stay with us.